dark side of manifestation really refers to the potential pitfalls or negative consequences that can arise when you practice manifestation without really understanding the principles of it and misapplying it. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast, where practical spirituality meets real life. Hi, I'm your host, Sheetal Story. I'm a psychic medium, grief support counselor, professional astrologer, and a human design reader, and of course, a law of attraction master coach. With my unique blend of spiritual and practical tools, I am here to help you align with your soul-led purpose and ignite a life that sets your soul on fire. In this podcast, we are going to explore the principles of energy, astrology, spirituality, and psychology to help you heal your grief and create an aligned life and business from the inside out. Whether you are looking to deepen your intuition, understand your cosmic design, or transform your business, this podcast is for you. Join me each week for insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories that will guide you on your journey to living your very best life. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Sheetal Story or wherever you listen to this podcast. Let's dive in and start this transformative journey together. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about the dark side of manifestation. Yes, there is a dark side to this light and bubbly topic that is often talked about in spiritual communities. And manifestation, when you talk about the law of attraction, very same, a little bit different, because the law of attraction gives you processes on how to manifest. So when we look at just the basic meaning of manifestation, it means bringing from the non-physical into physical. So bringing from energy into the 3D reality that is this world. So if you think about something and then you create it, you are manifesting. If you create something like an invention, you're an entrepreneur, you are a manifester. But here's a little bit of a kind of a secret, I think, that no one talks about, is that you've been a manifester since the day you were born. Whatever you think about, you bring about, right? You create your world through your perception and through your identity. So when you are thinking about the world and you're thinking that you're a failure, guess what? You're going to manifest more of that. If you think that you are a success and you live in a bubble where everything is good and nothing's bad, that's what you will manifest, right? You see opportunities in everything. But the dark side of manifestation really refers to the potential pitfalls or negative consequences that can arise when you practice manifestation without really understanding the principles of it and misapplying it. We as humans are flawed. Let's just be honest, right? I hate to break it to you, but we have this tendency to be Velcro for bad experiences and Teflon for good, right? So if you receive accolades from everyone around you, but one person says you sucked, guess what your mind will fixate on? The you sucking, right? But you don't actually suck. It's just one person's opinion. And when you make that about you, you then start to create from that place. So here's the thing, though, that's quite interesting is that you cannot make it about you if you never thought it was yours to begin with, right? So if I never thought of myself as someone who, it's the analogy of someone coming up to you and saying, you have green hair, that's crazy, you have green hair. And if you don't have green hair, you're like, this guy's crazy. I don't understand what are you talking about? I don't obviously have green hair. It kind of just bounces off of you because you know who you are. You know that you don't have green hair. And if multiple people come up to you and say you have green hair, then you might be thinking something's wrong. What I don't understand, why am I not having this experience, but everyone else around me is? And we start to give our power away, even though you don't have green hair, right? So we manifest from a place of knowing. So if you have a knowing that you don't have green hair, guess what? You're not going to react to that, and your energy is going to go in a different direction and free up more energy to manifest, to do the thing that you want, right? So healing is required for manifestation. That is something that is never talked about. I've never heard that I've taken my law of attraction training. I have a law of attraction certification for coaching. I have been a follower of many manifestation gurus out there. I've studied Abraham Hicks. I actually had to write a bunch of book reports on all the Abraham Hicks books for my coaching designation. So I've studied all of these things, and it's pretty much what it says is put your mind to where you want to go, raise your frequency, and it will come in. I remember asking my coach once, like, how fast does it come in? Because I want speed, I want efficiency. And she's like, instantaneously. And I was like, well, that can't be true. Can it? Like, can it be true? I think about, I want this money success thing, and it just drops into my lap. She goes, it can be that fast. And I said, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. And I think that's one of the first, fallacies of manifestation, or the dark side, is assuming that everything is going to happen right away. And it doesn't. It can take time, right? So everything is leading you to where you want to go. It's not fast, right? It's not now. Everything you're experiencing you is retargeting. Everything you are experiencing is retargeting you to where you want to go. So it is all manifestation. Even the bad things that are happening are the things that are not in alignment. I had a client once say, I was manifesting this man of my dreams, and I got this guy. And I said, was he everything you wanted at that time? She goes, well, yeah. And I said, was he perfect for your trauma? In terms of, did he fit into you in ways that you fit into him? And she said, yes. And I said, as you learned through the experience, you realized he wasn't really what you wanted. He was just a stepping stone to where you want to go. And she said, yeah, that's true. So it was part of the manifestation. It was getting her ready for the next step. So something to think about, it's not instantaneous. It can come along because you are experiencing something that's going to get you there, right? So number 2 fallacy is spiritual bypassing. Oh, I see this all the time in the spiritual community, right? Manifestation is a way that people use this spiritual concept to avoid facing difficult emotions and personal challenges. They focus solely on positive thinking. They may ignore unresolved trauma, pain, and negative emotions, which can lead to emotional suppression and hinder true healing, right? So this is actually just positive vibes only, right? If you see that shirt, or if you see that wall sign, I'm sorry if you have it in your house, but positive vibes only is one of the most toxic things that hit pop culture. Because it is not true, right? All vibes are part of the human experience. All emotions are valid and are important, and we need to honor them. And so there is a frequency scale in law of attraction where the more positive emotions are high vibrational, and you can feel that, right? When you're in joy, when you're in inspiration, when you're happy, you can feel how high vibrational you are, right? You are just, it almost is like you're walking on a cloud and everything is so happy. True story. I was driving once to a neighboring city. So for those of you who are not in Canada, I was driving from Edmonton to Canada, which is about 3 hours drive. And my best friend at the time lived in Calgary. I was going to see her. I was driving my little Honda Civic with 0 bells and whistles on this car. Like everything was, muscle power, right? I literally had to roll up the window by hand, and bare bones. We had to get a radio, a proper stereo put in, a CD player that was big in the day, and I was rocking out. I was so happy. I literally could feel the energy coming out of the top of my head. Like I was in my 20s, so I wasn't yet into this spiritual, understanding of what this was, but I could feel the energy. Like I was just so happy and so excited, and I was singing at the top of my lungs, and then everything went dark on my dashboard. All of the gauges fell to 0, and my car started to lose speed. I was on the highway. So 120, I was going 120, 130. It's 110 kilometers an hour for my US listeners. And I started to lose speed. So I pulled to the right, I pulled off the road, and then I came to a stop. I turned my car, put my car in park, I turned it off, turned it back on again. Nothing, it wouldn't turn over. I couldn't even get the gear shift to move. So I was like, okay, something's wrong. So I have car or AMA here, or CAA it's called in Canada. And they came to tow my car. My friend came and got me. So I was only about 20, 30 minutes outside of Calgary. And she came to get me. we towed my car to a dealership, and they said, "What were you doing?" when they looked at my car. And I said, "I was just singing and driving." And they're like, "How fast were you driving?" I was like, 130, like a little bit over the speed limit, not a lot. And they're like, "Really? Because you blew four fuses." I was like, "What? Four fuses? Four fuses." Like, and this is a pretty new car. Like, I just got it within the last year, and it was a brand new car. So there is no way, like, unless there was, but he said even if one fuse was kind of bunk, but four, like, that's weird. And I was like, "Oh, that's the energy." Like, I could feel it was so high vibrational. I literally could have manifested anything in that moment. I mean, manifested four fuses that weren't burnt out would have been nice, but I actually shot shot the energy, shot my short. I shorted my car. That's what I want to say. So wild, right? And vibration and energy matters. And so you can feel that emotion when you're high vibrational. When you're in low vibrational, things like jealousy, anger, rage, sadness, grief, those energies are very low, yes, but they have meaning, they have purpose, right? You are going through something that is going to help you retarget where you want to go. So it's not a bad thing, but it's what you make it mean, right? So if you make it mean that something, you're bad, you're negative, you can't do anything right? This is always happening to me, then you're missing the boat, right? This is called spiritual bypassing. You're not actually understanding your human experience to retarget and get you to where you want to go. So, by really dealing with your trauma and healing yourself, you're going to get where you want to go. And it all is part of the journey, right? You're not taking a detour. I mean, you can take a detour, but I like to say to all of my clients, all roads lead you to the same outcome. What's meant for you will find you, right? And you will find it. Like this podcast, right? Like, it was never on my radar to do podcasts. People have been talking about it for years. Oh, like, no thanks. And then everything lined up, and it was meant to be. I could not look away from this opportunity. It was meant for me. And if I had said no now, it would have come around in a different way down the road for sure. I meant to do this. I know that. So what's meant for you will find you. But spiritual bypassing will actually lengthen the drive to get to where you want to go. All right. The third thing that's going to add to dark manifestation is the dark side of manifestation. Again, we talked about toxic positivity, but it's also blaming yourself for negative experiences. So we sort of talked about that in the spiritual bypassing. But it's a problematic belief in manifestation is that if something bad happens, it's entirely your fault because you attracted it. This can lead to self-blame, guilt, and shame, especially when dealing with circumstances beyond your control. So when we talk about children being molested or someone attacking you or what's happening around the world to people who are innocent being bombed and killed and who just are trying to survive, how did they manifest that, right? It can be really harmful to say, yeah, you manifested that. It's like, well, how did I manifest somebody coming for me? How did I manifest being molested as a child? How did I manifest? I mean, I was not molested as a child, but when you're talking to people who have had these horrible experiences and you talk about manifestation, then you're kind of saying this is your fault. And it's not. Bad things happen to good people. I feel like I need to say that again. Bad things happen to good people. It's what you make it mean or what is on the other side of it that gives you the power to manifest, right? And so these things can happen. We may never know until we get into spirit why these things have happened to us, why we constantly kind of come up against some of these hard things in life. I feel like sometimes they're here to right time us. Sometimes they're here to bring us gifts on the other side of it, to go through the healing and maybe help others who have gone through it. There is purpose on the other side, right? But when we look for reason looks back. What everything happens for a reason, a really toxic phrase in the human language. Because when we look for a reason, we look back in time, we look to the past, and we look what caused this. So when we look for a cause, it's a blame game, right? This happened, you did this, I got COVID during COVID. On September 2020, I got COVID. I chose to go to a retreat. We all tested negative before we went to the retreat, and somebody brought it in, or we, back then testing, you had to do it like 10 days beforehand. So someone could have, become sick. I mean, it could have even been me. I don't know. But when we came in, then 9 out of the 19 of us got sick. I think 9 out of 18, whatever, almost half of us got sick. And I came home with COVID. And that time it was a really big deal. So I had to quarantine. I got my youngest child sick, not knowing that I was sick when I came home. And I was able to kind of stop the spread of it just to my son, but even then we just didn't know about it, right? So there was this lot of this fear. And I remember my husband being really angry, not angry at me, angry at whoever brought this into the group, right? And I said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who brought this in. The problem is not that. I chose to go. I chose to go during a time where they said you shouldn't be, gathering large people. I went, I don't know if I believe this is true. And I got it, right? Luckily, it was quite mild. Not mild in that it took 3 months for me to get my smell back and my taste back. Definitely the weirdest virus I've ever had. I feel to this day I'm still kind of healing from it, but it is a long journey being in the human body. And since then I've got it I have got it 3 times completely, that I've tested positive for it, and I've had it. And it's a weird virus, man. Like, I've been sick from a lot of things. I've even gotten the flu, and I felt like I was almost dying from that. But COVID's a whole other thing. And looking for someone to blame in that, was very interesting, because it was a way that my family was trying to grieve, trying to not make it my fault. And I was like, not happily, but I'm like, it is my fault. I did the thing. It's okay for me to take this on. I did feel a lot of guilt around it, and I talked it out with a friend. I cried, and I felt into it, and I allowed it to pass through. And it was a really interesting lesson, because from me, I was one of the first people to get it in my circle of friends in this community. And people went, whoa, this is real. Right. And I was talking about my experience and sharing about it. And because I got it in a group of people, we got to go through it together, which was really lovely. Also sucks, but very lovely, because each one of us impacted our own families, our own businesses in different ways that was devastating. And we got to hold each other in that. So it was quite a beautiful experience to go through together with someone else. So I didn't blame, I did blame myself, but it was interesting to notice society's tendency to blame. And there's no blame in this, right? This is about something that's just happened. It's happened. Yes, I was part of the reason why it happened. And what is the good that can come of it on the other side, right? The fourth one is ignoring practical realities. Oof. Right? Just don't worry about your bank account. Just spend as if you already are there. Act as if you already have it. Oh, I got myself into problems with that one. I'm going to act like I am a wealthy person now, and I'm going to spend as if I have it, because it's just going to come in, right? Because I'm acting as if I already have it. No, that is do not do that. Very, very, very bad. Manifestation focuses on aligning thoughts and energies with desired outcomes, but some people may neglect taking tangible, practical steps towards their goals. So this can result in stagnation, frustration, and a lack of progress if they really solely just rely on visualization and thoughts alone. So with the money manifestation, I actually have a lot of money trauma. And so I wasn't healing the money trauma on the other side. So yes, money was coming in, but it was going out just as fast. And the more that I heal that, the more I hold, and the more money stays with me. So it's not the vision, it's not the manifestation, it's actually the healing that allows me to bring in and hold more wealth. So we can't avoid practical realities. Like, we have debt, right? I love when wealthy people sit on stage and like, money does not buy you happiness. I'm like, I bet you it opens doors to happiness. Like, we can't negate that money does give us the doorway or the ticket to open ourselves up to opportunities, right? To go to Italy, to travel on wonderful, travel first class and get treated like great, wonderfully, to buy yourself healthcare insurance, and to get yourself faster into the lineup for MRIs and ultrasounds. Like, let's not negate that. And I think people who have money forget what it's like to not have money, because it does open doors for you. There are actual realities that we have to face as people who are learning the lesson of money, right? And it's when we are learning the lessons of money, we become very respectful and honor money. And so there's practical realities as needed. We know there's bills, there's debt, there's income tax, there's things that are requiring things from us. I'm just using money as the example in this one because we can't not see that we have a duty to pay back things that we have borrowed, right? We can't act as if we already have it. I think the key there in that is to be abundant, knowing that you have everything you need already, right? No one told me that. Act as if it's already here. Okay, I just gotta spend. No, don't do that. And then the fifth one is ethical concerns. In some cases, people use manifestation for selfish and manipulative purposes, attempting to influence others' free will for focusing solely on material gain without considering the wider impact. This can create imbalances and harm relationships and communities. So we see this a lot on social media with influencers and people who, live that money lifestyle. I think Andrew Tate is a really great example of that, where steps on anyone he can, uses women, has been busted for human trafficking, drug trafficking. Like, it's just a manipulation of anyone and everything to get where he wants to go. Is that a way to do it? Sure. There's some ethical concerns there. More than ethical, there's legal concerns there. He's just not good person, but he's getting all the things he's getting all the manifestations really, because there's life lessons that are coming in with that. So ethically, it's interesting because we're always striving to be the best person that we can be, right? We're coming from a place of love and we're in our heart center. And I think there's a lot of trauma around money specifically, or manifesting. One of the groups that I'm in, we're talking about wealthy women. And actually, one of I'm in a mastermind of coaches, and one of the coaches did a Wealthy Women's Summit in Calgary this year. And the pushback that she was getting of like, wealthy women in this day and age, you guys are hoarding money. It's like, do you think there's only so much money to go around? Like, again, a projection of all of this negativity onto this amazing summit that was about putting money in the hands of women and creating more parity and more divine feminine uprising in the world, of bringing more intuition, emotion. Women embodying money is very different than men embodying money, and what we want to do with it and how we work it and how we use it. Very, very different than men. So it was about putting money in the hands of women and moving money more through the hands of women-led businesses, and feeling comfortable and safe to hold wealth, because for years women with wealth were targeted. Money was taken away. We weren't allowed to hold wealth. So even that whole piece, that manifestation and ethics, that brought up a lot of judgment, right? A lot of people who were projecting onto her. So ethics and what is ethical is very subjective sometimes, right? But it's wielded as a weapon. So we are, yes, ethical means working from heart. You are being a good person. You're doing right by society. But again, like, what is society telling you? Like, if I were to live in India, for example, my mom to this day is still about covering up. Don't let anyone see your cleavage. Don't let anyone see your butt. But here in North America, it's like, whatever, you got to flaunt it. Be all of you. Show your body. There's no risk of being hurt. Whereas in India, there's a massive risk of being hurt if you show those things in public, because they're just not a society that understands a woman's body can be shown, and it's not a buffet. It's not come help yourself, right? So, and you can see that from the statistics of rape and misogyny. Whereas in North America, we still have those things, yes, but we are encouraged to show our body without there being a ramification to it that is ethically or ethnically negative. So ethic in itself is a bit subjective, right? If you think about the core of an ethic is just being a good person, right? If you're an ethical person, you're a good person of integrity and honesty, and people can trust you, right? That's universal. That's in every culture, right? So that ethical concern is, are you being a good person in your manifestations, or are you stepping on everybody to get what you want, right? So that's not actually true. And there's no scarcity means that there's not enough to go around. And that's not true. Like, even in limited edition things, you know, there's still stuff to go around. But again, why do you want that? What is it getting you? Right. So the deeper question here with manifestation is, why do you want what you want? Right. And what's on the other side of what you want that feels scary? So I have a 4-part manifestation equation that I talk about all the time. And I run an academy, a monthly membership called Manifestation, Intuition, and Astrology Academy, where all of the lovely ladies in the community learn about manifestation, about intuition, and how to flow with the energy that is being presented in the astrology and drop out of the 3D world, really literally going MIA from the 3D world and dropping into our heart sense, our soul sense, and living from that place. So in manifestation, there's a 4-part equation that I have found actually works perfectly for me and perfectly for everyone I've ever met, actually. So the first part is intention. Setting the right intention is so important. Where you set your intention, your attention goes, right? Energy flows to an intention. So if you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm going to have a great day, I am having a great day, you want to set your intention as if it is happening now, right? I am having a great day. You're going to have a great day. Even when bad things happen, you'll be like, oh, I'm having a great day, right? It's just going to be, it's a huge reframe. Like, it makes you laugh. It changes your energy. You're like, this is awesome. Actually, with my clients, my coaching clients, and even some of my grief clients, if something's like, they're having a hard time, or something's, we know, like with being a psychic, I just know sometimes that they're going to have a hard time going through a certain thing. And so things are going to happen. We're going to have contingency plans in place. But when it happens, I want you to just tell your brain, this is awesome. We've got this under control, because you do. Right? But if you're like, oh my God, everything's bad, everything's happening to me, guess what's going to happen? More and more and more of that. Right? So the intention is number 1. Number 2 is embody the emotion as if you already have it. Emotion. Notice I said emotion, right? Act as if you already have it now from the emotional place. So let's say you want to win the lottery. Winning the lottery, what would it get you? What is the feeling? What would you feel like when you got it? Now you got to embody that emotion, because the universe only speaks in frequency. It does not speak in language, right? So if you're like, I want to win the lottery, but meanwhile, you don't think you could hold money because wealthy people are bad, guess what? The universe is going to respond to your energy, not your words, right? So you want to embody the feeling of having it already. Feeling. Don't act as if you already have it and start spending your money. Like, don't do that. Number 3 is to take the next right action. You want to take the next right action and go in the direction of your dreams, whatever is presenting to you as it feels as the next right step for you, right? And use discernment. We're not just using our intuition saying, this is the next right step. Does it feel safe? Does everything align? Does that feel good in your pocketbook? Does it feel good with your family? There could be some things that you have to kind of give and take to compromise to get to where you want to go, but it must feel safe. And then the 4th one is the most important one, and it's to heal what keeps you from your manifestation. It's the one that no one talks about, right? So if you want to hold more money, but holding more money feels unsafe, then that's where you need to heal. You won't go anywhere unless you heal that part of you. So where did that part of you learn that holding money is not safe? What if I have a lot of money? Who will think of you badly? What do they matter to you? Right? Where did you hear this? What happened to someone in your family that had a lot of money? What were they talked about? Or not in your family, a neighborhood or somebody else, neighbor. But where did you learn this? So the healing is it is the most important thing, because the healing is going to create safety in your mind and your body to hold the abundance you want. So when you are manifesting, think of the 4-part equation: setting your intention, embodying the emotion, taking the next right action, and then healing what keeps you from it. And the healing what keeps you from it sometimes requires a coach or a therapist, because it's hard to see it for yourself, right? It's such an ingrained part of your identity that sometimes it's just hard for you to see it. So you might need someone to reflect it back to you. But here's a really great way to flush that out is, if I get this thing I want, what's on the other side that feels really scary? Yeah, I know, because you're like, what's scary about winning $1 million? What about the statistic that 70% of people who win the lottery go bankrupt, not back to where they were, bankrupt, right? That's a scary stat. So are you scared that you might lose it all? Or what will people think of you? Or you'll be ostracized? Or you can't relate to people anymore because you relate a lot through not having money? What is it? Right? So that's just an example, but what is it that you want? It could be a relationship, it could be a body image, it could be a lifestyle choice, it could be wealth, whatever it is. What you want on the other side represents something that is not safe. Sit with that part of you and bring safety to that part of you. Really flush it to the surface, and you'll notice things will go much faster in your life towards your manifestation. Wishing you joy in all that you do and getting everything that your heart desires from a place of love. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Story of Spirit podcast. I hope you have found inspiration, support, and practical insights to help you align with your soul-led purpose and live a life that sets your soul on fire. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us to reach more listeners and continues to provide valuable content. I sincerely appreciate every share, and I know it is how most people find me. It is because caring people like you have shared me with them at the right and perfect time. For more resources, insights, and to connect with our community, please visit us at www.sheetalstory.com and follow us on Instagram at Sheetal Story. Remember, your journey to a more aligned and vibrant life is just the beginning, and I am here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, stay aligned, stay inspired, and keep shining your beautiful light. This is Sheetal Story, signing off from the Story of Spirit podcast. Here's the legal ease that's required by our lawyers. This podcast and the YouTube channel represents the opinions of Sheetal Story and her guests to the show. The content should not be taken as medical, psychological, or financial advice. This series is informational and entertainment purposes only. Because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional, your mental health dream team, your financial advisor, or anyone else that's an expert in the field in where you are thinking of making big choices in your life.